as Mira's already said, and you obviously have, you know why you are here today. You're here, we are all here for the first basic session for reading comprehension. And of course, as it says, in an hour. So ideally speaking, what today we would be seeing, or rather how I look at the session is, in this 60 minutes, of course, you will at least be ready to, you will get an overview of what exactly reading comprehension is. Not only an overview, but I'm sure most of you would be able to actually start solving reading comprehension with an effective mindset. So the thought process is something that becomes very important when we are going for any exam. And that's what ideally an intro session really should be more like a goal setting, is where I come from. I mean, I believe in that. So now before I move into reading the topic per se, this quote by a very famous poet called Robert Wallace, this quote really is something that I truly believe in, and it's very important in the aptitude testing phase. So it clearly says, I mean, I would start with the last part, which says accuracy of thinking. Now, all of you would agree that aptitude as a test is about a thought process. So we all believe that, you know, whatever I think, my understanding or my thinking about the question that is given to me should be correct. Am I thinking in the right direction? But believe me, thinking in the right direction, how do I decide that I am accurate enough? So my answers that I will be selecting, or rather all of us select in an aptitude test, is not just thought-based. Believe me, the thought accuracy is actually going to be verified by what you have actually observed. If there is a problem, if there is a disconnect about what you think and what is actually there, or rather the observation is not matching with your thought process, then there's going to be problem in paradise. And trust me, reading comprehension is purely about what you see in the para and what you don't see, for that matter, or what you can infer, because there are some clues in the passage. So nothing in verbal aptitude is creative. Nothing in verbal aptitude is out of the world. Everything is in front of you. We just have to start seeing, and more you see, the more you will believe that is the correct answer. So essentially, this is just not gyan for RC that I'm giving you. This is a gyan for any aptitude verbal, especially for CR, especially for SC, and anything, all about GMAT is what we'll be seeing. So I hope everyone in the chat box can at least write a yes if you're ready to start the session. So at least some response in the chat box. So may I start the topic today, reading comprehension? So if you can just write in the chat box for me, that will be very kind. Great. So the first thing that we are looking at is the key takeaways today. Ideally, as I did start the session with the quote of observation, today you will actually be learning what, or rather, how observation really is the key for GMAT reading comprehension. So even if I forget any awesome rules or some awesome method, but if the power to observe, or the power to really, my ability to observe is intact, trust me, no one actually is going to fail you here. That's the whole idea. So let's see that. Second thing is how gist of the passage helps to solve questions effectively. That's another thing. And the third, elimination, which is the magical key to unlock the right answer. I mean, that's really the key to, in fact, any module in aptitude test. It's just not RC, but call it CR, or you look at SC. That definitely is the key. So without wasting much time, let me just deep dive into the topic. So before I go into my topic of the day today, just a little overview as to what GMAT reading comprehension is all about. So ideally, the exam, the test would give you 4 passages with 3 to 4 questions per passage. So there can be a short passage, there can be a long passage. So these 4 passages would be around, I would say, a short passage, and I might have a long passage. Ideally, 3 to 4 questions is something. On the GMAT, you get 36 questions in verbal, and you have 13 to 14 questions in RC. So if you really looked at the percentage of questions in reading comprehension, that's really a critical aspect. And only 13, only 4 passages and 13 to 14 out of them. So I personally, RCs are my favorite. I mean, I think they are the best, the module where you can really score the maximum if you nail the strategies of RC in place. Another 2 pointers is the adaptive logarithms. We all are aware of what GMAT is, an adaptive test. So what do I mean by an adaptive test? So for example, I have question 1, you get it right. Ideally, on the GMAT, the next question would be of a higher difficulty, right? That is the basic logic that I will be having. So the difficulty would increase. But if this is within a reading comprehension, so if this is one RC and I have a question 3 and I have a question 4, please remember that the difficulty of all the questions will be one and the same. So if you get this correct, the difficulty will not change. This will remain one and the same. Suppose you get this wrong. Suppose this is wrong. The difficulty does not come down for this particular question. The difficulty is one and the same for all questions. Of all questions remain the same. Okay. So, but yes, in an RC, suppose now I have in this RC, you have 2 wrongs and 2 incorrect. So you get 2 correct and you have 2 incorrect. Then the next SC question or CR question, the next SC or the next CR, the LOD can change. The level of difficulty can change here. Yes, will work. Perfect. So Rahul and Mir, I would like you to please select all panelists and attendees so that other students can also see your query. So Rahul did ask the question that adaptive algorithm will work on question immediately after RC, and that is something that I just answered, that yes, the next CR and SC, the particular LOD or the adaptive logic will start working. So clear till this point. Next, another thing, one of the passages is an experimental passage. So normally experimental passages are not scored. So now there is no clue. I mean, I would say we don't know which one will be an experimental passage, right? So as a trainer, I always tell my students, forget this thought. But again, why I tell this is because in case a passage really troubles you and you're like, what is this passage all about? Don't be scared, because, you know, the whole idea of being successful in an exam, or rather I call this like a battle, is never to be scared and to keep fighting till the last question comes to you, right? So even if a para troubles you, you just have to say in your mind, maybe this is an experimental one, and not be scared, not be worried, and with a, you know, with a correct attitude, move to your next question. And that also helps you not to waste time. Don't spend too much of time with a passage that is really troubling you just for the sake of thinking that this is the passage where my score will be taken care of. So there's just a little thing that I tell my students, but trust me, take every question as it comes to you. Do not ever, you know, think that, oh, don't take any question lightly. That is also another thing. Every question should get its due respect. Fine. So let's move ahead. I'll just check the chat in case if there is any query in the chat. Okay. Difficulty of the next RC question change. Now, Sudhira, suppose there's an immediate RC, then that might change. But if I have been consistently performing in the CR and SCs, then your next RC will be dependent on the CR and SC that has come. Is that fine? That will not depend on the performance of your first RC. Clear? Okay. Now, so another very important thing before I really go into RC as a topic, we should also know my opponent very well. What challenges my opponent can actually, you know, really throw. So very important, every one of you, I'm sure, would agree that, I mean, even if you've not done GMAT RC, but you must have done reading comprehension ever in your life. So some people might have done RC in school, maybe, you know, someone was preparing for CAT or any aptitude exam for that matter. Everyone would agree that all these 5 pointers can pose a challenge, if not all. if not all, I'm sure all of you here may have been troubled by either one of them. Yes or no? Everyone agrees to that? So can you tell me in the chat box, out of these, Manav, all panelists and attendees, please. So out of these 5, can you tell me which one, I mean, all of you here, at least I get a little sample, what really is troublesome for you? Is limited time more a trouble? Is confusing content a trouble? Accuracy, great. Limited reading speed, mental stress, which one? Let me just see in the chat box, whichever you can select for yourself. 3, great. Thank you, Isha, for writing. So I think great. I should have written numbers. Just give me a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I think you can just, will be easier for you all now. Okay, so I've got 5. I've got 2. Confusing content is a trouble here. Great. Now, 4, 3, 5, comprehending as well. Of course, that's where confusing content comes in, Maha. Now, okay, basically all I love this, Arpan really nailed it. Now, before I really go ahead, it's a kind request to all of you. I'm going to give you some few seconds. Please, 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 can you select all panelists and attendees? I'll, a pause for some few seconds. So please check your chat and just check if it is to all panelists and attendees. Please do that. Okay, so ready? Let's begin. So I think everyone selected. So taking this into consideration, you all will agree that the first 4, that is, let me just look at these 4. Do you think you all will agree that all of this is basically a passage issue, right? This is a challenge with the given passage. So many of us actually fret because why limited time? Because we all feel if I get more time, I will be able to comprehend the passage better, right? That is a thought process that we all have. We think time is so less. How can I comprehend the passage? So these are things that is working in our mind. Similarly, yes, I agree. Confusing content. Confusing content. Why is the content confusing? Because there can be, so again, timing issue would be because it's a long, very long passage, too dense for me. That can be an issue for some people. For some people, the problem can be the jargons that are there, difficult words that I really don't know, long, never-ending sentences. That can really be a problem. Plus, of course, the area is unknown, the topic is unknown. So, for people who've never done science, for them a science passage might be really mind-boggling. For students who are from the science background, humanities can be mind-boggling. Social science, for that matter, can be really difficult. Everything, the confusion occurs because somewhere down the line, this is there in our brain. Now, third point. Do you agree this third point is a result of 1 and 2? Can I say high mental stress is a result of 1 and 2? Can I say that? I mean, if you can write that in the chat, can we say that? It's a result of 1 and 2? Perfect. I can say, great. Now, limited reading speed. Now, why is my reading speed limited? Now, this is a problem which can be, I would say, a problem with my educational background, or for that matter, my habit. Can I say this is a problem of habit? I have never ever read data. Can this be an issue? Can I say limited reading speed is a problem of habit? Right? It's linked. Stress doesn't allow to think. Perfect. So many of us, I mean, especially nowadays, I mean, trust me, I've been teaching now for years now. So since 2006, I've been teaching. Believe me, as I have been teaching students, I've realized that with time, many of the students have, become the 1-minute news readers. So you have this news which comes practically all app-based news, which is news in a minute, the Insta newses. So you have lost the habit of reading, right? So you might be reading more of books and all, newspaper, even a dictionary. I mean, many of us don't really read a dictionary, right? We will just Google search and we get the word and that is it. So many of us do not have a habit of reading. That does become a problem for all of us. So suddenly on the exam, when I see a long passage, I might start being stressed. So I believe high mental stress is nothing but a result of all of this. And your stress is purely dependent on when you are not able to master your skills when you are solving a passage. This is the first roadblock that every solver has. This is the first roadblock that we all have. Next is this. For a person who has actually mastered the art of all this, the second roadblock that actually comes is accuracy, which, yes, some of them have written. You might notice that many people are awesome readers. They have read so much of content. They have no problem in data. Fast readers, still, they are not able to answer questions correctly. They really don't know and they are like aghast. Oh, I could comprehend. I thought I understood the passage, but still I could not answer the questions correctly. I am not getting 100% accuracy. I'm always getting 3 out of 4 or 2 out of 4. This is always a perennial problem. Although I'm able to solve the RC in maximum 6 minutes, I'm able to nail the RC. I'm done and dusted, but I am still having an accuracy hit. This is my second roadblock. So when you start your journey, today we all are starting, I'm taking the session as if this is the first time you're doing RC. So if you are starting your journey, these are the 2 roadblocks that you will all encounter in the world of reading comprehension. One is the passage understanding, the comfort in the passage under time constraint and without being stressed. And second is the answering of the questions correctly. That is the second block that's going to come in. So agenda for today is, I hope I make sense here. I mean, everyone could relate to these 2 problems that someone can have, right? So now I read quite a lot. Yes, perfect. So Sudhira has what I just said. So reads a lot, diverse but inaccurate at RC, and that gets frustrating. I totally understand. The interest level really takes a hit. So I empathize with all of you. Essence of today's session is also to understand what is the method, or rather what can be an approach or strategy to take care of both the roadblocks. See, I don't give you a guarantee that after today's session you'll have 100% accuracy. But trust me, if you are somewhere being troubled by RC, you will see a ray of light today and you will actually see a path as to what can be the correct approach. That I definitely can assure you. So let's begin. So just give me a minute. I'm going to be changing my slide now. So when I start with reading comprehension, or for that matter, when we are getting into reading as an activity, the first and the most important thing you need to understand is a passage is made up of sentences. And you all will agree that to read a paragraph or a passage, or to remember a paragraph and a passage, it is important to really know how to handle sentences, or rather why sentences have been written. So a very important thing that we need to know is, we all should agree that a passage or a paragraph definitely is made up of these 2 components, right? So I always tell my students, and I would also tell you, that think like a writer, become a writer. So all of you should think like a writer. Everyone agrees that in our life, I mean, till day to day, we all must have written data. Everyone, essay writing in school, we've done loads of essay writing, right? Forget being a reader. Think like a writer. So as a writer, about any topic, if you have to write, you will have your ideas and you will have details. Now tell me, what would these ideas be? What is the role of ideas? So can I say the role of ideas is to share the author's opinion or his, I would say, bias or perspective about an issue? About an issue, right? Very basic funda. And what is the use of details? Why will you give details? I will call details as facts. Why, as a writer, will I use details? It is to either introduce a topic. I might want to introduce a topic. I might want to support or elaborate a particular topic, right? I might want to do that. So there are two aspects that come in. Either I want to introduce a topic, I want to support, elaborate a particular topic, or present various aspects about a topic. Now, think and tell me, out of these two, based on the role that I have, which are the ones that I should read and retain under time constraint? If my time is less, which are the sentences ideally I should be reading, stressing upon, and retaining on the GMAT? What do you think it should be? Think like a writer. Why will I read? Obviously, I am gonna be focusing on the ones that are important to me. So between idea and details, which are more important for the writer? Which sentences are more important? Very good. Opinions, excellent. You would focus on understanding about the author's ideas. Let me tell you. Now, again, as a writer, would you agree with me that the essays that you have written, so I'm sure many of you might be writing blogs also today. So you definitely would agree that out of, if I have 1,000-word essay, or for that matter, let's take the GMAT total number of words. GMAT is around, I would say, 350, 400 words is a long passage. Out of all these words, or for that matter, out of the 50 sentences that I have, trust me, only 10% of them of the total passage, only 10% of the total passage, 10 to 15% make up the key ideas. Would you agree to that? And my details actually make up 80% of the data. 80% of the passage is all my details. Now, the ability, this is where your skill would come in. This is what you need to develop as a strategy to know, boss, which sentence I need to be slow. Where should I be fast? Whom should I pick up in my brain bank? See, the whole art is to be stress-free in the exam, to be completely stress-free in the exam. So while you're reading the passage, how can you keep your mind stress-free? How can the load in your brain be less? Only if you are focusing more on the ideas and you're retaining the key thoughts that are there. And when you look at details, you have a particular approach as to know why the details are there. That's something which I will show you live. This is something, so it's just not talk, we will see this. So the ability to know which sentence is more important and which sentence can be skipped fast, my speed can be fast, is the correct ability to read. That is what essentially is the right approach. Clear till this point, everyone? I hope it, yes. So Mahak, all of this questions coming from details, I'll tell you what to do with them. That method also I will give you. So I am not saying skip them, but it is a speed. There is a pacing that we will look at. How would you pace, or how would you have a differential method of reading, right? So let's see. Just give me a second. Now, so typically, this is the method that we follow at CV. We definitely are looking for reading in RC. Why am I reading? The reading is aimed to grasp the gist. Now, what exactly is the gist? So when I say gist is nothing but general info. General info will be nothing but the ideas that are essential for the writer. But how do I know it is essential for the writer? You will say, ma'am, how do I know it is essential? Now think like a movie. I mean, you're watching a movie. Who do you know, for an example, in a movie is a key character? How do you know that they are the key characters of the movie? How would you know? So how would you know? Can you tell me what is about a hero and a villain? How do you know? Which are the scenes that the hero and the villain will always be there? Always be. They're highlighted. Story revolves. So which scene? How often? So at the end also. So Ashay, all panelists and attendees. So talking about them, can I say that the passage is continuously talking about them? So as Harsh says, passage or story are talking about them. Now there's a difference. If I use that, the general info or the idea that is essential, can I say it is echoed throughout? Can I say it is echoed throughout or repeated from intro to closure? Would you agree to me that it is something that from the first para till the last para, till the last scene, you are reiterating the same thought process? Can I say that they can be essential ideas for the author? Perfect. So it's very important to pay attention to the intro part. What exactly am I opening the story with? How is the transgression happening? How is the story moving? I have to pay attention to the junctions of the particular story. And finally, very important is to understand the closure. The thought which is echoed throughout from intro to closure ideally will be called as my main idea. This can be called as the main idea of the passage. Now, another very important thing for under gist. As a writer, do you agree it is not just about an idea, but it is also how is the idea organized? Do you agree to that? How a particular idea will be organized is also a very important aspect of writing. So as a writer, you just don't write a story. You also weave the story. There is a structure to the story, a plan. So for example, let's take a very common thing. Maybe let's discuss about a place that you love. So you might love Goa. Let's take India, a simple place, or Dubai for that matter. You might love Dubai and you want to describe, or for that matter, you want to discuss about Dubai. So the essential message is Dubai is an awesome place. Now I can have two writers. One writer can give me a description about Dubai. What will be the description? Every single sentence, 1, 2 sentence 2, 2, 3 will have a similar flow or feel, right? Every sentence might have a positive touch to it and a descriptive aspect to it. But I might want to show an analysis of Dubai. So what I do, I start by introducing the topic. Then I say, this is positive about Dubai. But, there is a little negative also about Dubai. But still, it's fine. Although, and then I might give another S4, which might be again positive. So what am I really doing? Is my structure a one directional, or can I say it is a bi-directional approach? Has my style of writing changed? Has the way I've organized the idea changed? Do you see a change in the thought process? So this can be a describe, and this automatically would be a discuss. I am trying to discuss, or rather I can show the pros and cons about the key character, that is Dubai. So I hope everyone can relate to what I'm just trying to say. So as a writer, we might want to have a unidirectional approach, or as a writer, I can have an analytical style of writing. So forget a writer, as a speaker. I mean, tomorrow, if you are, y'all are working professionals or students, if you are in a presentation and you are having maybe a discussion, you might have a straight line discussion and you might have various different aspects in the discussion, right? That is what we all need to observe while we read a para. So what I need to observe? I need to observe the general idea, what is essential. I need to observe how the idea is organized. And last, most important point is, what should I need to observe? I mean, what does the word tone mean in layman? Layman, what is the thing? Layman terms, can you give me tone? What does tone imply? What does tone imply per se? Tell me. So, suppose what is my tone? So if you're speaking, tone indicates feelings. Perfect. Tone can be aggression. Tone can be happiness. So tone automatically changes with your bias or your perspective. So just give me a minute. I will erase this part. 1 second. Okay. So when we say tone, tone is what, or rather how does the author feel about the topic? Author feel about the issue. Is the author trying to promote something? Is the author positive, trying to promote, or is the author trying to demote, criticize, be negative about it? And sometimes, let me tell you, it's not necessarily always plus or minus. Sometimes we do have a para which is neutral in nature. So you might read the passage and you might realize, oh, I did not see any feel of the writer. The author was only being informative in nature. The author was only giving me data, but not sharing his or her opinion about the issue. So as a smart solver, it's very important to observe these three things. One is the general thought process. What is the idea? How? And what is the tone? How does the author feel? Clear till this point, everyone? So let's move. So now look at these. So how do I decide? How do I know, oh, all of this tone is there? So ma'am just mentioned all of this, right? But how do I know? So we all should agree that if I am looking at a sentence is made up of words. This is your building block, right? And the words have roles to convey ideas, to convey thoughts. So you have to work as an observer. You have to observe the choice of words that my author actually makes. So as a writer, which are the words the author uses? So for example, all of these words, if I'm using a word since, if I'm using a word because, what am I implying? So if I say because, what exactly will follow after this? What will follow? Can I say a cause will follow? Because of this, so there is an effect. Because of a particular cause. Similarly, thus, moment I see the word thus, I know what is going to follow. I am going to have a conclusion that's going to follow, right? And trust me, on GMAT, or for that matter, in the data that you get in the exam, this family is the most important family. That is nothing but the contrast words. So the kind of passages that you get on this exam is, most of the passages are analytical in nature. They are discussions in nature. Even though they have a lot of data, the essence behind writing those passages is to discuss a particular issue. So when you discuss something, the use of contrast words are paramount. So for example, I have idea 1, then I say, but idea 2. Suppose I say idea 1, not idea 2. What is the difference between this? So I've clearly mentioned a contrast is not a negation. So you say idea 1 is important for me, not idea 2 implies that idea 2 is off track. So this is out of the story. This has been negation of I2. But look at this. Idea 1, but idea 2. So moment I introduce a contrast, please remember 99% cases, the author's bias follows these words. All of these words, my author's bias will follow. So ideally, between idea 1 and idea 2, which is more important? Idea 2 is more important than idea 1. This is a very, very important concept in data reading. Idea 2 is more important than idea 1. And another very important thing, idea 1 is not invalid. So for example, today, suppose today is Sunday, but I still have a class to attend. So today's Sunday is not negated. But for me, what becomes important? Attending the class becomes very important. Clear with this? How words really help us to know what exactly is the thought process of the passage. Can we move? Okay. So takeaway, I'll just wrap this up before I move into an RC solving. So the first takeaway and a summary that we will have. So till this point, what did we really see? We saw that definitely every sentence will not have the same role. So what you need to do, you need to identify the topic sentence. What is my topic sentence? This is something that I can say are the idea sentences in every para. You have to pay special attention to the last few lines of the passage. Now, what do I mean by the term low gear? What would it be when I say low gear? Low gear would be my speed has to be comparatively slow. That is the logic that I will be using. Next, cut through the details. Now, I am not saying skip the details. I did not say skip. I am saying cut. So when you're cutting through them, what does it imply? You have to, moment you look at details, what you need to do? One, you need to know why they are there. You have to grasp the idea they represent. You should not grasp the explicit meaning of that particular detail. This is not a GK exam. Please remember, this is not a general knowledge exam, right? This is a thought-based exam. They're going to test you on the idea. So when you look at details, what is advisable? Your speed will be fast and push for visual retain of the details. What do I mean by visual retain? You should observe the location with respect to the passage flow. So where in that particular passage I have a detail? Is it in para 1 or is it in para 2? So moment you are reading, you should be, okay, I saw this in para 1. So you have to really increase your ability to take snapshots. It's more like you're taking a snap at where this detail is and primarily the location in which it is there. You don't have to mug up the details. And very important is this aspect, which of course, because it's the first session, so I'm not elaborating much on this, but I'm just giving you a highlight. It's very important to know that there can be a point of view of the writer. That is called as the main message versus point of view of other speakers. That is nothing but a fact. So for example, if I say the government believes in changes, that will benefit the education system of the country. So who believes? I don't believe. The author, the speaker doesn't believe. Who believes? Government believes. So that automatically becomes the detail or a fact that we are looking at. Clear till this point, everyone? And last, observe how thoughts flow from a sentence 1 to the last sentence, that is the nth sentence. This is actually the star of RC. Everything else, even if you are awesome, trust me, if you are not perceptive enough, if you don't understand what is happening, if you're not observing, are they going in one direction or are they going, is there a compare contrast happening? Is there a pro and con approach, a positive and a negative approach? Or, oh, there is a question that has been asked and the author is trying to answer, or there is a problem and the author is trying to give a solution. These, or there's an evaluation. Evaluate means you're trying to check that is it valid or is it invalid for that matter, a positive or a negative aspect. So these are aspects that you need to pay attention to when you are reading RC. Clear? So you can actually take a snapshot of this and keep. So this is very, very important in the first reading aspect of any RC. So I'm really not teaching you time here. I'm not going to be teaching you. First, learn the ability to correctly read any data. This is what the key is. Yes, idle time for reading only the passage, idle time for reading a passage and grasping all of this is maximum 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes depending on the difficulty. But 3 minutes is something that we are looking at. 2.5 minutes is for your super experts. This will definitely happen. Maybe after you've solved some 20 RCs, I'm sure you'll be in a position to wrap up a passage in 2.5 minutes. But yes, beginner, if you are 3 minutes and you're taking a time to read an RC, I'm fine. This is awesome if you can get all of this. So in 3 minutes, all this has to be done. Okay. So are we now ready for a passage? Are we ready for a passage? Can I give you a passage to solve? Okay, what is the difference between, yeah, great. Now, I want to also tell you all something. Sometimes what happens, in the chat box while teaching, I may not have seen something. In case if your doubts are not covered, please put that immediately in the Q&A. So while you are solving questions or see, I normally type the answer. So I'm sorry if I have skipped any query, please put that in the Q&A. Will that be fine? Okay, so let's move to the passage. How does this look? How does this passage look now? I mean, obviously how it looks, we all know. So are you ready for this passage? Huge, exhausting, dense, great. So now what do you need to do for me? So I have plain, great. So let's see how you handle this passage. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Only 3 minutes. Let's try to read this passage. Ready? I'm starting the timer. Your time starts now. Last 1 minute. Last 30 seconds. Okay, time up. Still reading. How many of us? Not a 3-minute passage. Okay, I'm giving you 30 seconds more. Only 30 seconds more, and that's it. Okay, we are done. Still reading? Done, anyone? If you can write in the chat box, that'll be great. Not done yet. Okay, done. Okay, I have Mir who says, Mir Yasir who says done, but rushed through it, hardly understood anything. Fair enough. I mean, I'm okay, I'm fine. Let's see what you actually understood. So let's go. Now, before I actually read, I want to just ask you. There are 3 things. So I said, let's observe. Now, there are 3 things that I would like to check and ask you. Often repeated key characters and message. Often repeated. Okay, that's one very important. No problem. Let's see. 3 things that you should be smart enough. What did we learn? Often repeated key character or message. So this is nothing but my gist, GI, right? That is the thought. This becomes my S, sorry. This would be your T for that matter, tone. And this is nothing but my structure, right? Now, how many of you noticed that this particular part was being repeated? Did you notice this? I'm just looking at observational skills. Did you notice? Great. Perfect. Proof of was always highlighted. Excellent. What else was highlighted? Investigation. Now, would you agree that work of political thought is also highlighted and something about linguistic constraints is also being highlighted? Would you agree to that? Everyone would agree. So even when I'm coming here, something about political ideas I am seeing. Again, English political thought I see. I come down, I do realize that applied to England, whatever. So it's about political language. So do you notice if I come to the last part, it's again about political argument, right? So all throughout the para, most of you, even if you didn't comprehend, could 18th century, awesome, vocabulary, great. Everyone, could you observe these aspects were highlighted? Everyone agrees to that? Perfect. Next, another thing. Did you notice? Now let's look at tonal or feel or point of view. POV is nothing but, when you say POV, POV is point of view. So we have point of view indicators, right? So positive and negative. Did you notice that the first one was, now I put in green, there was something plus. All throughout, there was no tone. Second para, there was no tone, no point of view per se. It does say for much of his career he has argued, but can I say that this was more just like an information? Can I say this was only an information about tea and England and political thought? Can I say that? But when I come down in the last para, would you notice that there is more of green and reds? Do you notice the green and reds become more here? Did you observe all this? My only question is, if you observed it, trust me, you all are on the right track. Perfect. Tone was more towards the closure. Awesome. So this is what I say, yes, you're being able to comprehend, especially in the last few lines. So because you know what happens, why am I doing this activity? Because I believe that, strongly believe that the word comprehend, that I could not comprehend, or we need to comprehend is a very broad term. Many of us actually don't know what exactly we need to comprehend. We think if I understand the meaning of every single word, then I understood the passage. No, that's not the case. The case here is to understand what is the structural writing methodology that the author has used to prove his point or to represent his point. How has he structurally written a para is what essentially is the actual comprehension that we need to do. So when I say gist of a passage, ideally, gist of a passage is nothing but the structural skeleton or the skeleton of the passage is what we all need to comprehend. So can I very comfortably say that the first para was also informative? This was a neutral tone, just telling me about what is JAP's numerous investigations. Second para also is informative, which also tells that language P has used is about this. Then it tells that, he argues this, that. On the other hand, they describe, know where my author comes. All of this is whose perspective? It is POV of JAP. They are not author's perspective. So this becomes details. But when I come to the last para, what I realize is very important. All of these little words in blue. Why do you think I have marked these words in blue? All of these are nothing but relationship or thought flow indicators, right? Plus, you would all agree that tone also gives me some clarity with respect to how the thought is flowing. Because if you notice in the last para, you have a mix of positive and you have a mix of negative. You can see a kind of a two-directional approach here, plus as well as minus. But while P's ideas have proved fertile, when applied to this, they are more controversial. This is the negative feel. The word controversial is bringing a minus tinge to it. If you again go down, it says P's assertion that, oh, whatever, is at odds. This again is a negative feel, right? Finally, I'm coming to the last part. Look at the word fortunately. I have not given it a color, but fortunately as a header word, what does it show from the author's perspective? If you are a writer, why will you use fortunately? Why will this be a choice of word? Because you want to bring a positive aspect to it, right? Clear with this, everyone? I hope you're getting a hang of, yes, it's an official passage, sweetheart. So you're getting a hang of what really and how the choice of words and my ability to observe them gives me a lot of clarity. Now, last para, last line. It is not necessary to rank the relative importance, whatever of different vocabularies. Vocab has been repeated. It is sufficient, not necessary, but sufficient. Notice the contrast. And then I say applaud. Applaud is a positive word, though guilty of some exaggeration. So there's a little negative. Now I ask you a question. Is this a strong negative? Is this a strong negative or will I call it a mild negative? What can I call it? A strong negative or a mild negative? In the chat box, if you can mention. Mild, very good. Because I'm saying I need to applaud who, though guilty of some exaggeration. So just by putting up the word some, I'm bringing down the intensity. Has done. Now, how confident we can be? Has done the most to make us aware of their importance. Now, the final say actually is to praise whom? Who is my the historian? Specific word, the historian. The historian is no one but JAP, right? This is what, in a nutshell, the passage is all about. So, I will now, if I say, let's apply. So let's create a map. If I have to create a short map of this passage, would you agree? So this is a map. If I have to create a map, can I say that the first para was being informative and it was introducing JAP, work of political thought, something about linguistic constraints, nothing else. So JAP's numerous investigations all revolved around the fruitful. I will read this slowly. I will be slow here. My gear would be first gear of reading, right? Next, first line I read slowly, that a work of political thought can only be understood in light of this, okay? For these. Now from this part, for these prescribe both. For these, this is descriptive in nature. I can skip this. And trust me, anything that you don't comprehend, do not fret. Do not fret. Push it under visual retain. Just push it under visual retain. The first initial part, mota, you got a hang. Achha, this is something about this. And now about author. Let's move. Only occasional, okay, someone, this looks like a detail. The task of modern is to identify language or vocabulary, okay, with which author operated. While historians of literature have always been aware that writers work within, okay, application of this notion. Now this part, what do you realize? Oh, comprehension is difficult. If my comprehension is difficult, what will I do? I will have a steady speed, and my speed will not be slow. It will be somewhere in the third gear. I will go very fast and I'll come to it. I'm just taking snapshots. If there is a question on 1950, I will come back here. Next, first few lines I will read slowly. Some CH. So second para, I see P and some CH is there. Much of he argued something about English political thought. Okay, some CH about English PT. That's it. I'm reading fast. Okay, he argues virtue. I'll come back. I'm taking a snapshot. I saw some word called a story. I saw some word as big writers. I have taken a visual snapshot. I will come back. I will retain this visually. My gear can be third gear here. Finally, the last para. In making such, has disassociated from some who deride, okay, but while P's ideas have proved fertile, now moment I read this line, I realize, acha, this is author's POV. This is no more an information. It's a POV. I'm going slow. Moment I see author's POV, my speed will become slow. I will enter first gear style of reading. And more controversial, I see the negative. Now let me see. Okay, his assertion, some Jefferson Federalists simply echo very dense. I'm just taking snapshots. Fourth gear to third gear. I can go fast, drill down. Last line, few lines of the passage, everyone should comparatively become slow. Why should you be slow? To grasp the author's final say. This is something that you should always keep in mind. Now, moment you're grasping the author's final say, you have to keep in mind, is he trying to promote or is he trying to demote? So what does he do here? He has done the most to make us aware. Definitely it is to promote JAP. I do see in this para, there is a negative for US, right? That is the only little thing that I get. There is a negative perspective of JAP. In a nutshell, this is how I would read this passage. Clear? Till this point, everyone, I hope you've got a hang of how I read this passage. All of you, I'm sure will agree, whatever thought process I just discussed is just that much that you must have got, right? Every one of you, I did I get into detailing? Did I get into all the other stuff? And did I explain a single vocabulary for you? Nothing. Just based on this, we will solve our first question. Are we ready for the first question, everyone? Can we solve our first question? Okay, let's look at this. Main idea of the passage. So I've not taught you the method of solving a question, right? Logically, but can you tell me how would I select the correct answer with logic? I mean, what should the correct answer be? Logically. What would it be? Can you just write down in the chat box? Logically, what would be my correct answer? What is the thought process? Okay, I'm getting an answer. Awesome. So in the chat box, if I can get an answer, but logic, first logic. Okay, a positive for his work. Excellent. That's one. So ideally, the correct answer for a main idea of the passage is nothing but it should reflect, just give me a minute. It should reflect the author's intent. Why the author has written the para. From para 1 till the end. From the intro to the closure. Basically, I need an answer that is driving all throughout them. So how do I do it? How do I do it? Now, because I explained it to you, so I'm sure many of you, we can easily find an answer. Now, suppose you did not understand. Now, for students who did not understand, they're like, ma'am, I too couldn't understand the para at all. I have a very simple method. When I say reflects the author's intent, in RC, always remember, correct answer has to be 100% visually seen, or it should be verifiable. It should be 100% seen or verifiable as per the para, as per the stated data. It should be there. It is not exact replica of words, but synonymous use of words. So we'll be solving one question. That's the only intent that I have today. So let's see. Civic humanism. Ask, is this all throughout the passage? Anyone who did not comprehend the passage, visual, observation wise, everyone agrees that only para 2 was about civic humanism. CH was nowhere mentioned in the end. That can't be the author's intent. That's not an idea that is often echoed. I can safely give it across, right? Just give me a minute. I'll change the ink. Okay. So I can safely remove this next. In any of its manifestation cannot entirely explain 18th century. 18th century political discourse, I might think it is there. But civic humanism is not being repeated. I can safely remove it. B, 18th century political test. I have seen this in the para. It is there. Great. All throughout. R, I'm breaking an option. Are less likely to reflect a single vocabulary than to combine several. Is that the intent of the passage? Is the passage about vocabulary and text combining, or is it Jack's perspective? Who is being often repeated? You will all agree it is Jack who is often repeated, right? I can safely cancel this option. Clear? T's linguistic approach. Do I have that? Yes, I have that, right? Though not applicable to all. Beautiful option. Look at the wording. I am saying not applicable to all. When you say not all, what does it imply? It implies some, right? Who is the some? English political thought becomes some. Jack is applicable to English political thought. Not all does not mean none. Please keep that. None and not all is not same. What is same? All are not. All are not will mean none, but not all will always mean some. So, these kind of, you should be knowing what is the choice here. Not applicable to all. Perfect. So this is taking care of US. Some it is applicable, some it is not. Who is the not? US it is not, but England it is. Provides a useful model for historians of political theory. Moment you read this, this is also taking care of the closure. So this option takes care of the intro, takes care of the blend of para 1 and para 2, this opinion, as well as the last opinion. Let me hold this option. Last two, P has more successful. So moment you see the word more successfully, you will know that it is a comparison indicator. In the passage, did you notice any comparison? Did you notice any comparison in the passage? Did you notice? No comparison, right? Perfect. I can safely cancel this. Successfully accounted for whatever in this England than in this. So a lot of students might get attracted to this, that P has more successfully accounted for the nature of political thought in England than in US. But if I compare between C and D, Think carefully. Even if someone gets caught here, what is missing in D? What is missing in D? I might have a positive, but what is missing in D? Can I say that the final say is missing in D? The final intent of the author, the final promotion of the author is missing. The positive tonality is missing. This is a specific option with respect to the example. The aim of the para was just not to speak about England and US, but the aim of the para was to tell us about the historian who actually has done the most to make us aware of the use of vocabulary. That is the logic. Next. Plus it says nature of political thought. Another thing is missing. That is the linguistic approach. The vocabulary aspect was also missing in option D. Last, P's notion of the importance of language in political text. Importance of language, great. In political text, compare it with C. What is the difference? Is it any political text? Is it all? No, right? Para was specifically about which century? 18th century political text. Look ahead. Is a logical extension of insights of historians. Now, very clearly, the last para first line tells me that he has disassociated himself from historians. In fact, he has done the most. But option E tells me that whatever he's telling me is an extension of other historians of literature. That is where a major crosses, because essence of the para is that Prufrock or Jack is my star. The intent, which option only gives us? It is option C. Clear with this? I hope all of you have got an approach as to how to read an RC and how to solve an RC. I hope. So you all got a hang of what I mean by elimination. Why am I removing? So even if you didn't understand, I was just checking, is it there or is it not there? Is it there throughout or is it maybe only in one para? That was the logic that we were trying to learn. Okay, so yes, I'm already coming. So are you game for one more question or would you want to try another question? Last question. A main idea question. Last question of the day. Great. So just give me a minute. So this, of course, is a takeaway. I am just giving you a second to think on it because this anyways would be shared to you all. So I'm just stopping here. So very important is eliminate options and compare options to select the least strong and the most neutral. So the last question. And so the first question was, of course, a primary purpose. Now just look at this last question. What question is this? We all have got the gist of the para, right? I am saying the author of the passage would most likely agree that which one of the following is a weakness. Now, moment I read this, do I have a clue as to which paragraph should I go for my answer? Which is the weakness? What is the weakness that you saw? Which paragraph? 1, 2, 3. Which para? Very good. It's in the third last para. Excellent. And can you tell me the weakness word was with whom? Was associated with what? Visual retain. It was for US. Everyone agrees. Something negative about US. But what negative about US? Let us read this line. We know which was the tonal line. This is the line. His ideas have proved fertile when applied to England. They were controversial when applied to US. So what exactly does the author want to say? That Japp's ideas cannot be applied to all. Cannot be applied to all. That is basically the weakness, right? Give me your answer. Just glance carefully. First option, will this be my answer? Is it the use of the term language? Do you see that in this para? No, I don't have anything about language to describe expressive features of several. Even if you don't comprehend this option, suppose you don't, you're like, ma'am, what is all this? But what I need to know, by knowing the gist of the para, at least I will glance. So for a student who didn't comprehend, don't worry. What you should do, you should carefully just glance at options to look for something like this. Let us see. I don't know. over emphatic denigration. Would you rack your brains to understand this? Would you really say, oh my God, what does this mean? Let me comprehend. No, you wouldn't. You say, oh, I don't know the meaning. Let me put a question mark. I'm not canceling it. I don't know it. So I can't cancel it. I've just put it a question mark, right? And I am going to go down. Next. What about option C? The emphasis on the overriding importance of CH. Now, CH is here. I agree. But third para, is he pushing for CH in English political thought? Is the problem about emphasis England? No, England was in positive. No, but say I'll cancel this option. Insistence on a single linguistic diet. I don't know the meaning of the word this, fine. But I know linguistic and this word I have seen somewhere. To account for political thought. Great. In 18th century, England and in US. So you are saying let's use a single approach in England as well as in US. Can I hold this option? And last, the assignment of certain vocabularies to a particular party is very bad option. Nothing I have seen. All of this, I don't have a negative tone. But by going with the gist of the para, I know D is my correct answer. Insistence of a single, not applicable to all. This is what matches with the passage. Clear? Everyone could get a hang of what this question, how this question was solved. Okay, so this brings me to an end of the session. That's it. So I will just summarize as I did mention. Just give me a minute. So if I have to summarize, what did we really learn out here? One thing, if you notice, I read the passage. Did I rush? I did not really rush, but I had a normal pace, right? There was a balance. Why was there a balance? The balance was because of the importance of sentences. What was the importance? Idea versus details. That is what we saw. Last, please read with observation. That is very, very important. Pay attention to what is there. Another thing, do not be intimidated by terminology. So I'm sure after we solve the passage, you may have realized that the words that you may have stopped to read and the words that you may have actually, tried to understand did not make sense. They were not necessary also for my answers. Another, scan for common traps. Elimination. This is where elimination precedes selection. Always remember, I will eliminate to select. This is a very, very important thought process. Observe the wording of the answer options to look for where are exaggerations. All of this is across mismatches with the passage. So please remember a very important last takeaway. I am not saying that any option that is an exaggeration is a cross. You will check with the passage. Any mismatch or deviation with the passage, that would be a cross. That is important. And with the question requirement. Finally, please avoid attraction traps. This is very dangerous. These are all what readers assume. So you think that this is correct because you thought that I comprehended. You will always check if the correct answer is 100% visually seen in the passage or not. This is very important. It should be 100% visually seen. And how am I looking for the scene? With respect to the synonymous clues that is there in the para. That is what we have to keep in mind. And most important is it has to be true as per the para plus the question requirement. The question requirement is a very, very important component in reading comprehension. Clear? So this is, I think I'm done. Any doubt, anything, you can definitely write in the chat box. And yeah, I would like, so I'm done. Any Mir can, I think, I would ask Mir to actually go through the other slides. So any doubt, you can please write first in the chat box. I would love to take your LOD. Great. So what do you think the LOD of the passage would be? What do you think level of difficulty? I just discussed the passage. Is it really very difficult? Very difficult. Would I say that? Or can I call it a medium difficulty? Medium? Great. Perfect. It is medium. Moderate. Yeah, moderate to high. At a beginner level today, yes, it might be high. Why? Because of the content. Because you didn't know the approach. But once when I did, you will all agree that it was really not very tricky. Was it really very tricky? Passage, yes. Why it looked high, Mark? Now the rationale. Why it looked high? So I think you can put your questions because of the wordings. Perfect, the vocabulary. But when I solved, did we need the wordings? Did we need the wordings? So did I use any wording per se when I was reading? I didn't, right? I was not using any wording per se. Okay, so I think I will, but first take Mir to let Mir finish the session. Then I would like all your queries. Can you put it in the Q&A? Because I would like how, then I can actually get into the Q&A box. Is that fine? Mir, you can.
Sure, Essel. If you could just share the final few slides.
I have to take the questions later because I would like to leave you here. Just give me a minute.
Sure.
So just give me 2 minutes. Let me just think and then I'll take all your doubts.
Awesome. Thank you for the awesome session, Essel. Before we move on to the actual Q&A session, I'd just like to talk a little bit about what Crackable does and what we offer. So as you can see, and a lot of you, I think, are repeat people who have been coming back to us for multiple sessions, right? So you know that we have a proven formula that will improve your scores, and a lot of our, consumers have been getting to 700 plus scores. That is what we try to, drive in all of our sessions. And our differentiation is that we like to think that we have a personal touch rather than just a bot, getting into your teaching system. We are actual people who will be coming out and helping you. Essel, next slide, please.
Yeah, sure. Just give me a minute.
Yeah. I think this is self-explanatory in a way. We don't believe in a one-size-fits-all kind of an approach. We have everything, something for everyone. So if you're someone who doesn't have much time to prepare for the GMAT, but you can probably do it at your own pace, we have the GMAT on-demand online course where you can go through videos, recordings, and all of that, and learn how you can, chase the GMAT your own way. For someone who is probably more in terms of they want to go through the GMAT in a structured approach with a mentor like Essel, we have the GMAT live at home approach where we have a curated plan and all of these different resources that are available, multiple different classes that happen throughout the week, and basically you'll be guided completely from our side. Finally, for people who are looking for advanced level training, someone who's probably taken the GMAT before, or someone who knows that they require a little more help, you can just opt for the Score Up approach that we have, where you will be actually talking to a mentor one-on-one, and you'll have multiple sessions with them so that you can solve the GMAT that way. Finally, we also have a GMAT OG solution. So this is all questions from the official guide that have video solutions available. And the second part that you see over here, MBA applications, interview prep, and burger plan, all of this will probably come after your GMAT prep. So I'm not going to go too much into detail on that. Yeah, so what do you get from Crackable's courses, right? So we have, from the session itself, you might have realized we have a lot of expertise in the GMAT prep market, and because of that we have a lot of hours of on-demand videos. Along with that, you can test your concepts for the OD, the on-demand course, and multiple quizzes, multiple tests are available on our platform. In terms of the live at home sessions that we have a 10 weekends plan, along with we have weekday classes as well, where we dive into different questions, different aspects and stuff like that. So all of this comes with 24/7 support from facilitators, actual people who will be listening to your questions and clarifying whatever doubts you have. Yeah, as you can see, this is a little bit about where our students are right now. People have been going to M7 schools, Stanford, Oxford, Harvard, all of these big names. If you are interested, you can go ahead and go to the link that I'm just putting in the chat window to read more about our students. Yeah, also, if you're interested, we have an upcoming class this weekend. So you can, contact us, and someone from our customer success team will help you out. And I'm just putting the details in the chat. Just call us, or, send a hi on our WhatsApp number, and we'll definitely take a look at that. And finally, if you'd like to kickstart your journey in GMAT, you can sign up for our Kickstarter course. Again, I'm sending you the link in the chat window. Feel free to sign up for that for free. Yeah, I hand over the session now to SL. SL, any other questions the people have, you can probably take care of them.
There are numbers, you all can just take care of that, how you can reach us.
Yes.
And we will take care of the questions. Okay. So yes, just give me a minute. Okay, yes. So I have Manav who said, could you please tell us ways to make quick notes for the passage? And I had Sharath also who had mentioned if I could read that per se. Great. So I think I'll just wrap up with how many daily RC question. That's something which Mahak has asked me. Now, before I answer that, I'll just read this passage once again. And believe me, in seconds, I'm going to read it in 1 minute. Simple thing. Where would you be focusing on your notes? Simple takeaway point was the initial few. Just give me a minute. I'll just, first para, as I was reading, as I came through, whatever stand out for me, what is visually repetitive is what I am focusing on. So obviously the first line, I am starting with JAP, right? What about JAP? Something about that have all revolved around the assumption of a work of political thought. So work of political thought, PT, right? Which can only be understood in light of linguistic constraints. So that really struck to my brain, something about linguistic constraints. Then I'm reading, I'm glancing at some M. He succeeded in breaking of these bonds by redefining old terms. The task of, so I've taken a snapshot. I'm not including it in my map. The task of this is to identify, but this line becomes important because my author is telling what the modern commentator should do, should identify language or vocabulary within which the author operated. So one thing I realized that something about vocab we are talking, and even if I did not know the meaning of the word linguistic, I could realize it's something about writing, right? So vocab and language comes into picture. So that's synonymous in nature. So this much of notes is enough for me. Rest literature has been aware. So you might make certain pointers here. You might say, oh, some literature, 1950s, I'll tell you another trick. If I don't comprehend a part, I keep in mind, I didn't comprehend. That is also I make a note in my brain. That first para, last few lines, I didn't understand. It's fine. If I have a question, I'll come back to it, Then I'll come back. So see, today's session ideally was just like an overview. So that's the essence of how to solve questions. Suppose you have skipped something. That is where all the other sessions in theory of RC come. So I hope you understand that there's a limitation of time also. So I really can't get into every single strategy. But yes, if there is a question where I do come back and I then try. Because it is not necessary. Please remember on the GMAT, with every question, the passage will move, right? I will have the passage with every question. So why should I fret so much if I miss out on some paragraphs or some lines? I can come back, if there is a question on it. Mota, what I just need to know is the overview. That much is enough for me. Second para, language P associated C. So I say, some P and some CH. Let me see. Now when I'm reading, I'm not immediately writing, but I finish reading and whatever I could find is echoed. Something about political thought. One hand he argues virtue, okay, some. So this is purely about England perspective. That's it. Then I come down, I realize, oh, it's England versus US, and my author is not very happy with all. England, yeah, he's good, but in US, no. But last para, final say, I'll just write down. Final say is author is positive about jab. This is how I'm making notes. So my notes basically are based on the critical sentences, the idea sentences. I'm focusing on the ideas and maybe some visual data. So actually, because of lack of time, I had to rush a little. So I had brought this map. So if you notice, there is a map A and there is a map B, right? There is a map A and a map B. Think which map makes sense. I mean, this is a RC. Do you realize there's another RC? Does this map make sense? Remember, if other people are able to read your map and understand, then this is not proper map. Your mind should just have the takeaways. This is a little overview. You can make this shorter also. For me, a smaller map would be nothing but jab, political thought, linguistic constraint. Author is positive about jab and something about England versus US, but negative about US. This is it. This would be my map. This small little thing will be personally my map at a level, higher level of reading. That in this, I know what the story is. I know that the author is promoting jab. That's it. So very simple approach. I forget everything. One thing, just remember what I taught you in gist. Intent of the passage. Try just identifying what the author is doing. Is the author promoting something or is the author demoting something? That's it. If you just keep that in mind while reading that, believe me, your RCs will not really be a nightmare. Any passage that you read, do not be worried about the data so much. Just keep in mind what the author promotes versus what the author demotes, or is it only neutral, that is informative. Just keep these three things in mind. Trust me, your RC reading will become better. Okay, so I think Manav, I have answered your question. I hope I've shown you how to make notes. Sharath also, I have read it once again. How to practice to improve accuracy from 30 percentile. I like this, Mahak. Mahak, how many daily RC? See, it's not about the number. It's never about the number of RCs. It's always about the right way to solve RCs. So if today you've got some little overview of how to do it and you think that this might work in your favor, what I would appreciate is daily, minimum if you start with 2 RCs. 2 RC passages daily using this correct approach, right? Correct approach. So maybe 1 week, don't have a timer. Don't do it under timer. 1 week only do reading activity. Don't bring question solving. Only reading. Maximum that you all can do is bring primary purpose questions, right? Second thing that you can do is next week you can introduce the timer into your system. But very important is using the correct approach. Trust me, within, I'm not talking big, but within 20 days, you will definitely see from 30 percentile, you will see your RCs moving up to 70. But all of this provided there is an analysis of your error pattern. So questions that you're getting wrong, why are you getting wrong? If you're taking too much time reading a passage, why? So if you do a very objective error log, things will become very easy and better. There has to be consistent practice and analysis in the right direction. I hope that answers your question. And GMAT works for RC question. Okay, the simple logic, I'll just tell you. The GMAT algorithm, what happens, no? Okay, so as I mentioned here, suppose this is an RC. First question, you get this correct. Second question also you get this, suppose you get this wrong. Second question is wrong. The next question will not be of a lower difficulty. It will, the difficulty will be one and the same. Level of difficulty. LOD is nothing but level of difficulty. That will remain constant. Once when this RC is over, suppose you got only 2 correct and you got 2 wrong, then the next CRN RC may be of lower difficulty. That is how this thing does not work within the passage. But after the passage is over, it will impact the next question. Okay, Pranshu, I hope that clears all your doubts. Okay. So thank you, everyone. I would end the session. Can I end any other doubts that we have? So I am stopping the share. And still, if you have any issue, you can definitely reach out to us, as Mir has definitely mentioned.